Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be doing a review of Linguistic Key to the Greek New Testament by Fritz Rienecker. Now this particular edition was edited by Cleon Rogers, and I believe this one was published in, I want to say the 80s. 1970 is what I'm getting here. 1976 to 1980, okay, by Zondervan. Now, I believe that this was originally a German book and was eventually translated into English. And this one is an updated one which includes various sort of elements that the author Fritz Rienecker wanted to include in two other works, but unfortunately was unable to complete before his death. Yeah, here in 1965 is when he passed away. And so this gentleman here, Cleon Rogers, compiled this work together, and he added other things in here instead of just. I guess I should have mentioned what the main purpose is. The main purpose is giving lexical or linguistic aid. So, for example, if you're someone who knows Greek or is learning Greek, this tool is extremely helpful to better understand the Greek language, because you see it's one thing to know the language on a surface level. For example, when you're learning definitions of Greek words, you're only learning maybe one or two possible definitions for Greek words, and when in reality words can be a lot more nuanced than that. Or for example, more complex grammatical formations in the Greek New Testament that perhaps as a newer student you wouldn't be aware of, or even a lifelong student. Sometimes there's things that we aren't that for whatever reason slip through the cracks. Now this is one of those books that will help draw those out to help enrich your study. And so anyway, back to what the author Fritz Rienecker, he published this work. I see here. It was originally titled, I don't even know if I should attempt to read that. I'm going to anyway and humiliate myself here. Sprachlicher Schlüssel or Schlüssel zum Griechischen Neuen Testament. Forgive me for that atrocious reading. Anyway, what he wanted to do was add certain levels that would also give background material to the New Testament text, as well as historical research in light of word meanings and definitions. And so this gentleman here, Cleon Rogers, published this expanded edition of the original version, and he published it in English and added those in. And so here in the foreword written by Fritz Rienecker, he explains the need for a book like this. I'm just going to read this here. It's very empowering. It says, "A renewed struggle for a deeper understanding of God's Word is present in the ranks of all who earnestly want to live as Christians. There is a stronger desire to be clothed with the whole armor of God. And where do we find the whole armor of God? It is not in the polemic, it is not in the apologetic, not in speculation, not in the mystical, and not in the philosophy, but rather in the Word, the Holy Scriptures alone. This is where God has revealed Himself, and this is where we must be at home. This is what matters, to grasp and to learn the Word in all its weight and reality." So in other words, we learn best by reading the Scriptures, and that's where God causes the growth in our lives. But he's saying it reminds me of the preface of the King James, where the writers are saying to them, how can people understand that which is closed in an unknown tongue, or how can you understand that which is sealed? Translations and things of that nature help us to get into that. But the whole purpose of learning Greek is to grow and enrich your knowledge of the New Testament. And I'm only speaking of Greek here. For example, learning Hebrew is a whole different ballgame too. But anyway, the whole point of learning this is to grow and enrich it. So this tool will help you grow in that knowledge of linguistics, but also of just your knowledge of in relationship with Christ in general. He goes on to say here, um, the user of the linguistic key will find in this work an exact explanation of the verb forms. The substantives and the adjectives are given in the nominative, which is necessary. The root of both verbs and substantives will be presented, that is, when it appears important to the author that it serves a practical purpose. So if you don't understand what I'm talking, what he's saying here is he's saying that he's going to provide lexical keys, for example, pointing out to something what is the parsing of certain Greek words, whether it's what the voice is, what the tense is, things of that nature, or is it first or second declension nouns, things of that nature. And he's not. It's not exhaustive, so he's not going to show every single example of every single word, but rather what he's going to do is hone in on those words that bring out a richer meaning to the text. So not the basic ones that you'll most likely learn right out of finishing an intermediate or beginning grammar, but those ones that add nuance and context. So, for example, if we open it up here, this is a list of the sources cited, which is excellent, very good to know, because and oftentimes he'll quote certain Greek scholars or of that nature or other works, and he'll cite them in the margins and tell you where he got them from. So right here, let's just start in the beginning in the Gospel of Matthew. So let me go ahead and I'm going to set this here. I only have one hand, sorry. Let me pull out my New Testament here. So this is my UBS third corrected New Testament. It's nothing fancy. But here, let's go ahead and start. Matthew. Really working against myself here. Okay. Matthew chapter 1. So, here in the linguistic keys, right off the bat, see here in right here, the first word, we got biblos, biblos genesos, Jesu Christu huiu David, huiu Abraham, which literally means, let's see, book, the beginning, Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. So here, down in linguistic keys, we see biblos, which means book, different from biblion as a connotation of sacredness and veneration. And then here he adds an as, okay? And now what's interesting is we can then go, because he is citing a work, go back here, and this will tell us, let's see, as. So this is a quotation from Abbott Smith, a manual Greek lexicon of the New Testament. So see, it's extremely handy, especially if you have, if you are going to seminary and you have access to a larger library. It's very useful. And so then here we have the next word, which is genesis, or you could say Genesis would be our English equivalent, and it means origin, birth, or genealogy. And now BAG here is this is just the simple lexical definition for the and BAG here is the most standard lexicon that we use. Now this is a little antiquated. The updated version now, I believe, is pronounced. It's called BDAG, and that's just the acronym. BAG stands for, I believe it's Bauer, Arndt, and Gingrich. And I'm not sure who the D is for the BDAG now. So the current model would be BDAG, but this is, like I said, from the 80s. So this is the older version. Still definitely good. And then here we have Christos, which means Christ. But see, it adds a little bit of flavor, so it gives you a little bit of insight. So let's go ahead and try another passage. Let's go ahead and do, and it might be, forgive me if this is overkill, but this is one of those passages that is commonly brought up. Probably one of the most well-known passages in the New Testament. So here we have kata Ioanne, or according to John. This is the Gospel of John, chapter 1, and it reads, En arche en halagas, kai ha logos, and proston theon, kai theos, ein ha logos. Now, let's go ahead and take the linguistic key to the New Testament. And here we have John 16 for Gospel of John. Okay, let's see here. So, here in the Gospel of John, we read here, en arche, which would literally be in beginning. Okay? Now, if we come over here to linguistic keys, we see that word there, arche. See, the literal rendering is beginning. And he says here that this refers to the period before creation and is more qualitative than temporal. And obviously he quotes Brown here as his source. And then here we have en, okay? En is imperfective, and then followed by ame. En is the imperfective of ame, I believe. And it is more qualitative. The imperfective expresses continuous, timeless existence. So what he's saying here is that although this says the beginning, it doesn't necessarily denote the idea of as if that didn't exist, that Jesus didn't exist before and then suddenly he exists now. What it's saying is that this is something that is eternal. It adds a qualitative. So see, normally you wouldn't necessarily get that if you weren't aware of the grammatical insights that this book gives you. So, and this goes all the way through every book in the New Testament, all the way to Revelation, and it ends here, in Revelation chapter 22, verse 21. And it really is an excellent tool, and I was having a hard time finding a review of this when I was looking to get one. And it's not that there wasn't one out there, I just couldn't seem to find one. But it's a very handy size. It's very, very portable, and it matches, like I said, my UBS third. And this one has the dictionary in it. It's a little bit thicker, so they're almost actually the same size, to be honest. They're pretty close. But I have a big hand, and so, really, you could very easily walk around with both of these, and it would not be a nuisance at all. But in my opinion, this is really a must-have for students of Greek. It really, really, really stands out far, head and shoulders above at least what I've seen so far, and I'm certainly no expert. So if you find out that there's something better than this, please let me know. Or if for some reason I got something wrong, please lovingly but correct me. I don't want to be spreading anything that's any error, not intentionally. So anyway, I hope you found that useful. Go ahead and pick one of these up for yourselves, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, God bless. Talk to you later.